You ever wonder why some people spend 20 years visualizing abundance and never become abundant, while someone else receives one crystal clear vision that completely changes the trajectory of their life? We've been taught that visualization means waking up every morning, turning on a 528 hertz frequency track, closing our eyes, and concentrating as hard as possible on the life we want. But if the universe is intelligent, omniscient, loving, and infinitely creative, why would it need to hear your request every single day? Did it miss you the first time? Is it too busy processing everyone else's manifestations? Or have we completely misunderstood what visualization actually is? What if visualization isn't a broadcast? What if it's a reception? What if your future already exists and your only job is to become quiet enough to hear it? Today, we're going to explore an ancient way of understanding visualization that changes everything. Because once you understand it, you stop chasing your future and your future starts finding you. I'm going to start with a spoiler alert and then we'll unpack it together. Two things. Number one, visualization is not something you do. Visualization is something that happens to you. And number two, people who sit down and visualize every single day may actually be doing the very thing that prevents their vision from materializing. Let's start with the second point. Think about the equation: desire plus non resistance equals desired result. If you can have a desire while maintaining a regulated nervous system, if you can remove the limiting beliefs, traumas, and stories that move you into fear and contraction, if you can remain clear in your relationship with what you want, then reality begins to organize itself around that clarity. Now, think about what daily visualization often implies. Many of us are essentially saying, Universe, I'm going to sit here and do this thing because I think you need me to do it before you'll give me what I want. Does that really feel like trust? If you genuinely enjoy spending 10 or 20 minutes immersed in your vision every morning, then by all means continue. But if you're honest with yourself, most of the time we're negotiating with reality. One idea that completely transformed how I think about visualization came from the mystic entity people, Neville Goddard. New T. Neville Goddard, creation is already finished. He suggested that everything that ever was, is, or will be already exists within a greater field of consciousness. At first, that sounds poetic. Then it becomes unsettling, because if creation is already finished, then perhaps the life you're trying so desperately to build doesn't actually need to be built at all. Perhaps every possibility already exists, every business you could create, every relationship you could experience, every version of yourself you long to become, already present as potential. The future isn't waiting for you to manufacture it through enough affirmations, enough vision boards, or enough hours spent sitting cross-legged with your eyes closed. It's waiting for you to become capable of perceiving it, and that changes everything. Most people believe visualization is an act of imagination. What if it's actually an act of revelation? What if you're not projecting something outward, but receiving something inward? I love that distinction because I spent years trying to visualize harder. I thought if I could just generate enough emotion, enough focus, enough intensity, I could force reality to cooperate. Looking back, I see how much resistance was hidden inside that effort. The idea that reality is already complete means you're no longer trying to invent your future. You're remembering a future that already exists beyond your current perception. You're not forcing an image onto reality. You're becoming still enough for reality to reveal something your anxious, overthinking mind cannot yet perceive. When you see it this way, the question is no longer, how do I get better at visualizing? The real question becomes, what inside me is preventing me from receiving the vision that's already trying to reach me? That shift changes everything. Instead of trying to become a more powerful broadcaster, you begin becoming a clearer vessel. You stop obsessing over techniques and start paying attention to interference. You become interested in subconscious beliefs, unresolved grief, old shame, chronic tension, and nervous system dysregulation. Because those things don't just create suffering, they create static. Imagine trying to tune an old radio while someone stands beside you running a leaf blower at full volume. The music never stopped playing. The station never stopped broadcasting. You just couldn't hear it. I think trauma works the same way. Limiting beliefs work the same way. They create so much internal noise that the deeper intelligence within us becomes nearly impossible to perceive. Then we mistakenly conclude that our calling is absent, that we don't know how to visualize, that we lack imagination, when the truth may be that the vision has been there all along. Yeah, we simply haven't become still enough to hear it. The more I contemplated this idea, the more I realized that almost everything I had ever been taught about visualization rested on a single assumption that my future did not yet exist. But what if that's wrong? What if the future already exists, not as physical matter, but as energetic potential within consciousness itself? What if the entrepreneur you're capable of becoming, the relationship you're capable of experiencing, the contribution you're capable of making, and the person you're capable of becoming already exist as realities waiting to be embodied? If that's true, then your work changes dramatically. You stop trying to create the future through force. You start cultivating the capacity to perceive it. Now, that doesn't mean action doesn't matter. Action absolutely matters. But first, think about the greatest ideas you've ever had. Did they arrive while you were clenching your jaw and desperately trying to manufacture brilliance? Probably not. They likely arrived while walking in nature, driving alone, listening to music, lying awake in bed, or during some unexpected moment when your mind finally became quiet enough for something deeper to emerge. My most important insights never arrived through force. Usually, they appeared after I had exhausted myself trying to solve a problem and finally surrendered. The moment resistance disappeared, the answer emerged. Sometimes an entire framework appears, sometimes a business model, sometimes a single sentence that completely reorganizes how I see reality. Years ago, there were those hidden image posters that looked like random patterns. But if you relaxed your eyes just right, suddenly a dolphin, a castle, or a spaceship appeared. That's what revelation feels like. The picture was always there. You simply couldn't see it until your perception shifted. And that led me to a more important question. If the vision is always available, what prevents us from receiving it consistently? The answer, I believe, is noise. Every unresolved wound competes for attention. Every limiting belief filters perception. Every unconscious conclusion that says, I'm not enough, I have to prove myself, I don't deserve success, I'll lose love if I become powerful. All of it creates static between you and the future already trying to express itself through you. That's why personal growth and vision are inseparable. Most people think personal growth is about becoming a higher performer, but I think its deepest purpose is healing. Healing creates space. Healing frees energy. Healing releases attention trapped in survival and allows it to organize around possibility instead. For years, my nervous system was consumed by survival, fear, shame, scarcity, the need to escape myself. Every ounce of energy went into maintaining an identity that was destroying me. There was no room for revelation because there was no room for stillness. And if you've ever struggled with anxiety, emotional pain, or addiction, you know exactly what I mean. Survival compresses consciousness. It narrows your world until all you can think about is getting through the next hour. The problem is that many people are living in survival mode without realizing it. We've normalized stress. We've normalized nervous systems that never rest. In that state, asking someone to visualize their future is almost cruel because their system isn't oriented toward possibility. It's oriented toward protection. As I healed, I wasn't trying to become a visionary. I was simply trying to become healthy. I processed grief, examined limiting beliefs, confronted shame, learned emotional regulation. And as I dismantled the architecture of fear inside me, something unexpected happened. I started seeing. Ideas arrived without effort. Vision appeared without force. The future started introducing itself to me. I wonder how many people are exhausting themselves searching for something that was never missing. Maybe your future isn't withholding itself until you become worthy. Maybe the only thing standing between you and the life you were meant to live is the noise created by believing you're someone other than who you truly are. Think of a lake. When the surface is disturbed, you can't see the reflection. You can't see the depths. But when the water becomes still, everything becomes visible. The same is true of consciousness. Fear agitates it. Shame agitates it. Comparison agitates it. Resentment agitates it. Stillness reveals reality. That's why I no longer think of visualization as a practice. I think of it as a consequence, a natural byproduct of psychological spaciousness. Visualization happens when the mind stops fighting itself. It happens when the body no longer perceives every moment as a threat. It happens when the subconscious stops replaying the same identity over and over again. In that state, something extraordinary occurs. You begin living in two realities simultaneously. One part of you remains fully present in the physical world. You're having dinner, attending meetings, walking through daily life. But another dimension becomes available, the dimension of imagination, possibility, intuition. Ideas begin arriving that seem larger than the moment. Connections emerge, synchronicities increase. You receive glimpses of a future that hasn't manifested physically but somehow feels more real than the present. I've experienced this enough times that I no longer dismiss it. Entire presentations have unfolded in my mind while exercising. Business strategies have appeared while listening to music. Ideas have arrived so complete that they felt downloaded rather than invented. Years ago, I called that imagination. Today, I call it reception. Perhaps you've experienced it too. Moments when something greater seems to move through you. Moments when you don't feel like the author, you feel like the instrument. The question isn't where it came from. The question is what changed within you that allowed you to receive it. Had your identity stepped aside? Had your nervous system become coherent enough for deeper intelligence to emerge? I don't think these experiences are reserved for mystics. I think they're glimpses of how human beings are designed to function. The challenge is that we've normalized so much internal noise that these moments become rare. We've become experts at consuming information and beginners at receiving wisdom. We reach for our phones during every empty moment. We fill every silence. We eliminate every gap. Yet it is often inside those gaps that the deepest intelligence of our lives begins speaking. How many extraordinary ideas have been lost because someone grabbed their phone instead of sitting quietly for 60 more seconds? How many books were never written? How many businesses were never built? How many lives were never transformed? Not because the vision wasn't available, but because the signal was interrupted. This realization changed how I structure my life. I still use technology, I still listen to podcasts, but I intentionally create spaces with no objective, no productivity, no optimization, no performance, just availability. Sometimes it's a walk without headphones. Sometimes it's driving in silence. Sometimes it's sitting outside and watching the wind move through the trees. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But internally, everything is happening because the deepest work is invisible. It is the cultivation of a nervous system capable of hearing what force can never produce. When I look back at the biggest turning points of my life, they weren't created by effort alone. Effort mattered. Discipline mattered. Execution mattered. But execution always followed vision. Clarity came first. Action became the physical expression of something that had already been received. Action without revelation often creates a ladder leaning against the wrong wall. You can spend 20 years climbing only to discover you never wanted to be there. A clear vision doesn't eliminate work. It sanctifies it. It organizes it. It aligns effort with purpose. And that is why healing is one of the highest forms of productivity. Not because healing directly generates success, but because every layer of fear you dissolve increases your ability to perceive opportunities that fear once concealed. Every limiting belief you release expands the range of futures available to your awareness. So, what if the future you're praying for is already reaching toward you? What if your deepest desires aren't inventions of the ego, but invitations from life itself? What if they're signals from a future already seeking expression through you? If that's true, then your responsibility becomes beautifully simple. Heal what needs healing, feel what needs feeling, release what no longer belongs to you, and become available. because eventually the signal becomes unmistakably clear. The future no longer feels like a fantasy, it feels like a memory. You stop wondering whether it's possible because somewhere beyond logic, you've already encountered it. You've seen it. You've felt it. You've received it. The work is no longer about proving yourself. It's about expressing what you already know to be true. That is the real power of visualization, not the power to imagine a future into existence. The power to become so inwardly aligned that reality itself can reveal the future it has been trying to express through you all along. Tomorrow morning, don't wake up and negotiate with the universe. Don't convince yourself that if you log enough manifestation hours, reality will finally reward you. Instead, remove what isn't true. Question your limiting beliefs. Feel your emotions. Regulate your nervous system. Become present. Become available. Because your greatest future is not waiting for you to imagine it. It may already be complete. It may already be calling you. And every layer of fear, doubt, ego, and resistance that you dissolve simply makes the signal clearer. Stop trying to broadcast your future. Build a nervous system still enough to hear it. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to Stories and Quotes B and join a community of people dedicated to wisdom, growth, self-discovery, and conscious living. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it and leave a comment telling us what vision may already be trying to find you. Until next time, stay present, stay curious, and remember, the future you're searching for may already be searching for you.